Fox Business anchor David Asman in focus now. You said that potentially this could come.
Yeah, well, remember let's not bury the lead here. This is a good jobs number, a very good jobs number.
I said that. And normally we'd be
100,000 more than what was expected. The problem is that Americans are running out of savings. Americans built up this huge pile of savings during the pandemic because of the lockdowns where they couldn't go out and spend money on vacations and stuff. $2.7 trillion of savings was developed over the pandemic. That created a tremendous buffer for them coming out of the pandemic. Of course, they've been spending a lot in the past 6 months or years since we got out of the lockdowns, but inflation has kicked up at the same time. And what's happening now is that Americans are actually dipping into their savings because of inflation. So they're running out of their savings. What do you do when you're at home and you run out of savings? You go back to work. A lot of people who had been sitting on the fence are now seeing these 11 million jobs, cherry picking the really good ones, and there are a lot of good ones out there, and getting jobs. That's the news.
And potentially making a little bit more money as the employers have been desperate to get people to come back to work. So those bonuses and things, are we going to start to see some of that go away, though?
You will, because of the fact that the businesses themselves are suffering from inflation. I mean, particularly if you think of restaurant businesses and those that are most vulnerable to the inflationary pressures, the cost of gas, the cost of fuel that they use in these businesses, the fact that they're still having difficulty in getting workers. A lot of them are going out of business right now, and that's why there are recessionary concerns. That's why we had a 1.6% drop in the GDP in the first quarter, and the Atlanta Fed, for one, is suggesting we'll have another drop in the second quarter. 2 quarters back-to-back of negative growth indicates a recession. So we might be in a recession, and that means that a lot of those 11 million job openings will dry up.
I'm going to ask my team to pop up Labor Secretary Marty Walsh, who was pressed on part of Biden's plan to spend more money to bring down the cost of things. So he's going to hit inflation with more cash. Watch this.
I wouldn't make an elected official a decision based on what's going to add to inflation if you're going to help the American worker and help the American family. And that's what the president, quite honestly, is doing.
I thought that was part of how we got here.
Yeah, well, and it's not just that, not just spending more cash, which is what causes inflation, as you say. It's also the fact that they're thinking of raising taxes, particularly on small businesses right now. There was a Washington Post piece today suggesting that Joe Manchin, who was against the BBB bill, he essentially killed the Build Back Better bill of that huge $5 trillion spending program. But he's now working with Senator Schumer. And all you need are all 50 Democrats to vote for something, and they can get it because of reconciliation.
So what could it look like?
Well, what it can look like, we go back to coming out of the recession in 2009. Just when we were coming out of the recession in 2009, 2010, then President Obama raised taxes and raised regulations, and we ended up with the slowest recovery in our history, in our modern history anyway, in the 20th century. So we could end up with serious problems if, in fact, they do exactly the wrong thing at the wrong time. This jobs number is good. It's good because we have that buffer of job openings, 11 million job openings. But if those begin to close up because of a recession or something close to a recession, then we're really going to be out of luck. And you don't want to kill small businesses even more by raising their taxes.
Wow. And we used to talk about Joe Manchin in a different way, as he stood between the president spending more money with Build Back Better. And now we find out again, not that we doubted that he was a Democrat, but that he could work with Chuck Schumer.
It's still like not a sure thing. The Washington Post may not have it entirely correct. We'll wait and see. But the pressure is on Manchin. You don't want that kind of recovery, that false recovery like we had in 2009, 10, 11.
And Axios analysis says that the jobs numbers carry risk in both directions, but the so-called Goldilocks scenario is the hope of both financial markets and the White House. Axios explains it as an economy still expanding with workers able to find jobs readily without further tightening of the labor market to goad the Fed into raising rates too far, too fast. Break that down.
Well, the Axios has it wrong. The economy is not expanding. It's contracting. We had a 1.6% contraction in the first quarter. So the economy, that is the problem. The economy is not expanding right now. It's contracting. We won't get the final numbers of the second quarter until the end of this month. But if, in fact, we're on line to what the Atlanta Fed says, we're going to have two contractions, 2 quarters back-to-back of a contracting economy, and that's a recession.
David, this is not our first rodeo. Why do we keep riding the ponies? We got to get back up on the big horses.
That's a great question. And we know what causes inflation. We know it's big government spending money they don't have, and the Fed prints phony money in order to pay
Is that
those
politics?
expenses. It's politics, but more than that, we have an election coming up. And a lot of people, particularly on the Democratic side, but some Republicans are doing it too, think the easiest way to get elected is by spending not their money, but taxpayer money.
Oh, so it is politics.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Kane podcast for full episodes right now.